And I think this is probably one of my favorite comments that I've read in a while.
Okay.
It's from Instagram.
That's right.
It's about Mark saying that Kevin Love is Chandler Parsons.
That was one of his worst.
So with cream said, all these short, fat non-athletes talking about sports they couldn't even attempt without a cardiologist and a defibrillator courtside.
Can we get a picture of this guy, though?
Yeah, I want to get a picture of him.
Yeah.
Number 2.
With cream has no profile picture.
Oh, of course.
Funny thing.
What-
What's his name? Whipped cream?
With cream.
With cream. And we're back here at Guys on Sports. How is everybody doing?
I'm doing great. Fantastic. I feel like I've been here all the time.
Stupendous.
I haven't taken any time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that
Feels like
you,
that.
you haven't been here at all, and you're taking
Another
week off.
Hey, where's Mark actually, guys?
Where is Mark?
Oh.
He's getting audited.
Oh, I haven't seen you in a few weeks. Where have you been? Where's everyone except for Phil?
You haven't
There you
seen
go.
us because
Phil's the glue.
I'm the
you
staple.
haven't seen us because you haven't been here.
You haven't been here. That's true. Well, to change it was a crazy weekend in sports. There's a lot going on. We got, well, you guys don't care about that, but trade deadline in the NHL. We had John Jones making his return to the UFC octagon.
Probably the best of the best.
Showing why he is who he is, regardless of the cocaine addiction. And we had the tag, the NFL franchise tag deadline end today at 4 p.m. We had some interesting things happen. We're going to touch on later.
Yeah.
We sure are.
But besides that, anything interesting, guys, or we just go right into our comments?
I say we go. I mean, I got nothing. I'm ready to
Ready
talk
to
about
run.
these comments. Yeah.
TikTok take.
All right, let's rock and roll.
All right. So I was gonna comment 2 comments here, but they are both about Mark. So I'll probably just I'll probably use one instead.
No, do both.
No, do both.
Do both.
Yeah, let's do both.
The first one isn't as
Is it
fun, though.
nice?
I was waiting for a Mark reaction so I can reply on TikTok with it, but since he's not here,
Well, let's just hear it and see if we get some
Okay.
gold out of it. Huh?
I just deleted it. So give me some.
Okay, wow. Well, then let's just.
Well, then just make it up.
No, I found it. Okay.
Mark's a trash heap.
So this is a comment about Mark's all-time.
Are these? You said they're both about Mark?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about Mike Gesicki and the terrible take of 2022. Barra Abbott on TikTok said that's what they say about every tight end ever, about being a Travis Kelce comp or like the next Travis Kelce.
Oh, one of his worst takes ever, right?
Yeah. So I was waiting for Mark to go, oh, that shitbag guy. He doesn't know a goddamn thing, and I
He would
make
say
millions
something.
on fantasy football.
He's still fighting the fight, even though we mentioned it last week. He knows there's no shot that happens.
I mean, the greatest thing about
No
Mark
shot.
is that Mark makes so many outlandish predictions.
He makes good ones too. Let's give him his.
Okay,
He does.
some land
Yeah.
because every once in a while
He's a volume.
blind
He's a
squirrel
volume
finds
guy.
a nut.
He's a volume
Yeah.
guy.
I mean, every once in a while you're going to land when you make outlandish claims. He makes a bunch of shit ones too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
The second comment,
I hear you.
and I think this is probably one of my favorite comments that I've read in a while.
Okay.
It's from Instagram.
That's right.
It's about Mark saying that Kevin Love is Chandler Parsons.
Oh, that was one of his worst. That was so bad.
And man, I was foaming at the mouth listening to that because my just editor mind went, "Oh, I'm clipping the fuck out of that."
That was so bad.
So the username is funny too. So with cream said, all these short, fat non-athletes talking about sports they couldn't even attempt without a cardiologist and a defibrillator courtside. Love was a beast who scaled back his game to try and win with LeBron. Don't disrespect his game. Just shows your complete ignorance.
Okay,
Wow.
first of all,
All right,
Mark's
look,
not short.
He's not short.
He's fat.
I think he saw this
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
and then assumed.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Can we get a picture of this guy though?
Yeah, I want to get a picture of him.
Yeah.
Number 2.
With cream has no profile picture.
Oh, of course.
Funny thing.
What-
What's his
you-
name? Whipped cream.
With cream.
With cream. Yeah, I mean, I
That
like
says a
stuff
lot.
with cream.
I do too.
Here's what I'll say. Just because I'm almost 40 and I gained weight doesn't mean I never played basketball. Can we
Not
put
only
that to
that-
bed?
Not
I'm
only
just
that,
saying.
We weren't calling
No,
out
but
Kevin
I'm just
Love.
saying, just like in general, that doesn't mean that I at one time didn't play basketball.
I
okay?
commented back, and this is probably my favorite, like, just token comment when it comes to
sauce
these
up.
things. I replied on the podcast Instagram. I said, Mark actually holds the rec center league record for most threes in a game.
There you go.
And they liked it. So that's my favorite thing to reply with.
I actually.
He's Al Bundy.
We disagreed. We said Kevin Love was.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's not even
great player.
Chandler Parsons, all-time thief, and good for him for getting the bag. But
he stole money.
all-time thief.
Yeah.
To compare him to Kevin Love, who's still playing in the NBA, who's won a championship, and that was an All-NBA player for a couple seasons, and like a 5-6-time All-Star. I mean, how do you even put those guys in the same bucket? It's ridiculous. It's just that they're white, and that's white on white crime is what it is.
They're both white. They both have beards.
And that's Mark being racist against white guys.
Yeah.
So those are the comments.
Crime,
Thank you for commenting, GON Podcasts.
Yeah, that was great. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start off, get right into it with our fantasy section. We're doing a series. Last week we did the AFC East. This week we're doing the NFC East, and similar to last week, we only have 3 guys, so we're gonna have to
We're slacking.
triple team that last team.
Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower it, yeah.
Eiffel Tower.
Who's in the middle?
I think are you gonna stick with Washington, or are you gonna go with the Cowboys?
No, I'm gonna stick with Washington.
So Cowboys are getting DP'd. All right.
TP'd.
TP. So here we go. Let's start. You know what? Let's start with Dallas since Mark is not here. And basically, what we did last week and what we're going to be doing is way too early projections for fantasy and moves that we think these teams could make. We might want them to make. It's kind of just a hodgepodge, just to give an idea of what we're thinking in fantasy terms of these teams. You know, once we get to the draft, I figure we're probably going to go back over some of this stuff. But keep in mind, a lot of moves have yet to be made.
Yeah, I think we said this last week, and we'll keep saying it, is that, in fantasy, unless you're like Mark, which he's an oddity and you're drafting teams now, which is stupid. Yeah. But unless you're like Mark, we're going to reevaluate this after the draft.
Yeah, this is the prep time.
Yeah, I mean, after a preseason,
Okay.
we're going to keep updating this.
All right, so just to get the conversation started, last week we talked about the Patriots and we talked about Jacoby Myers. I thought that Myers would be a good fit as a number 2 to CeeDee Lamb for them to go get. I don't know if it's going to happen, but they do have some injury concerns with Michael Gallup, who had surgery again a few weeks ago.
He's off my board. I'm not touching him in drafts.
So we have that out there. That's something that I think they should do. I hope they don't because they're in my division, but I think it would make them a lot better.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard got franchised. I think we see pretty clearly that I'm penciling him in as like a top 2 round draft because I just think he's going to be, especially as we get closer, he's going to shoot up boards. And I think you're going to be talking about him as a top 5 running back pick, if not higher.
I was going to ask, what's the earliest that you would draft Pollard coming off that injury and the surgery?
The earliest I would see. So there's 2 things. I think the hype on him is going to get to where it's going to be hard to get him without overreaching.
Yeah.
Like end of the 2nd round, 3rd round is where I'd feel comfortable.
I think that'd be a steal if you got him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, but I think that's where he belongs.
Agreed.
But I think he's going to go a lot earlier than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when is his projected return from the injury?
I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
Yeah, because like that.
Well, I could look it up since I talked already. You guys talk. I'll look it up.
I think I would not touch him at the end of the 1st round. I don't think coming off that injury. I mean, I know he's young and it's his first severe one in the pros at least. I just don't trust the Cowboys just coaching or organization to really utilize a player that they're franchise tagging. I think if he's not proving himself right away, even though he had a great year last year, the Cowboys are going to Cowboys. Okay,
so they're saying this is as of 8 hours ago. They expect him to be ready for the start of training camp.
Good.
It's problematic because he has to work through the offseason here, and we're putting some new things in offensively. Jerry Jones said.
Yeah,
okay,
whatever.
So,
he's an old bag anyways.
Yeah. Do we all think that they're going to either cut Zeke or try to trade him. I mean, nobody's going to trade for him with that contract.
He's not a focal point. He's probably getting cut.
Here's what could happen. I think they're going to try to move him. They could restructure.
Yeah, and I think he might be willing. Yeah.
He might.
Yeah, I think he should. Yeah.
Jerry loves him.
Jerry loves him.
Yeah.
I think Zeke, if he's smart, would restructure his deal because there's not a big market for him.
Okay. I don't think there's any market for him.
I think there could be
if they retain. So I don't know what his dead cap number is, but if they cut him and his dead cap number is like 13, 14 million, and they could trade him and pay $6 million of his contract and somebody to take it on, it might make sense for them to do. I think somebody be interested if early in the season. I don't think he's getting traded in the offseason, though.
Yeah, no.
That'd be tough. With that number, even with them paying some of that salary, you're probably right about that.
I think, if you look at, if he gets cut, I think there's a team, would the Browns pick him up and
just
use him like
a
Kareem Hunt.
Random, thumper kind of guy.
I think, he is somebody who would still have value out of the backfield.
Goal line work for sure.
Yeah, he knows how to get into the end zone.
Yeah.
He is a great receiver out of the backfield. He didn't bottom out. He still had value last year.
But he's not an every down guy anymore.
He's not.
I think it's a
Tony
decline.
Pollard was clearly the better back.
For fantasy, I don't want anything. I, of course, don't want anything with Zeke. When I think about this segment, I think about who is relevant on my team, who am I taking off draft boards. Pollard, obviously. CD, obviously, probably very standardly. I'm getting wary on Dak. I don't know what the
That's what I was about to bring up. So last year, he finishes the QB2. Do we think that changes if they bring a guy like Jacoby Myers in or another guy to bookend with CD Lamb? Do we think that changes anything for him? Or is he a guy now you're kind of...
He's not a starter on any of my teams.
Okay.
He's a backup. If he falls to me in the draft, I'll take him as a backup. I think it's likely he gets injured. It's likely that he has a few choke jobs during the year and probably near the postseason for fantasy playoffs.
He led the league in interceptions last year.
It's likely, yeah.
Okay, so I think we covered the Cowboys. I mean, those are the main focal points too. All right, so let's move on to let's go Eagles, huh? Or I could go Giants, whatever you want. If you want to wait.
I'll go with the Birds. I'll go with the Birds.
Eagles fly.
Fly, Eagles fly. Wow. What a year. What
Did
an
you watch
offseason.
Invincible yet?
We are. No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm saving that for...
You should probably watch it because you guys took a shit in the Super Bowl. I mean,
when was the last time the Browns had a relevant postseason game?
He's still hurt a little bit, isn't he?
I'm not hurt.
Well, of course he'd be hurt. I'd be hurt still.
Yeah.
We're a successful team.
I'm showing grace. I'm showing grace at this point.
Are you?
All right. Let's talk fantasy, boys.
Night.
How about that?
Not that night, no.
How about this, boys? We'll talk fantasy now. So there's a few different... I mean, honestly, the Eagles have a lot of things that they need to either continue to keep or they need to reevaluate and replace in the draft or in free agency. One of the biggest things that I think for the Eagles is glaring is their wide receiver 3. Quez Watkins was expected to make that jump and was probably a sneaky play in some dynasty leagues last year. I don't think that's the case anymore. I like Watkins as a player. We either move on from him or we go and actually ramp up that wide receiver 3. Look for a player like Paris Campbell coming over, who Nick Sirianni was his wide receivers coach in Indy. He's due for a contract 2019 from OSU, I think, right? I think that's a good play. I think he could even be worth it in some PPR redraft leagues on maybe your last pick of the draft. And the other thing too that I want to talk about the Eagles offense, and I'm not throwing it all at you now, so this is the last part.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders wants to come back. Every running back kind of says they want to be re-signed. Yeah. It doesn't look like we would let him walk. It's too early. There's not a lot of noise going on for the running back. I think stuff will come out probably after this episode drops.
Yeah.
But we're a suitor for Derrick Henry as well. That's something you got to look at because Titans are shopping him.
Yeah, they are.
So,
but they want a lot for him too.
Yeah, but we're one of the suitors that big media is talking about.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Sanders, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my question is why is Tennessee shopping Henry?
The Titans are. I think the Titans are looking at a rebuild.
Yeah, I think they might let Tannehill walk.
That team is muddled by weird contracts. Robert Woods was their big free agent signing last year that didn't work. I mean, their Malik Willis played and then didn't play. They don't have a direction right now, especially with the division getting better too.
Yeah, I think they're in a weird spot. Yeah, I was wondering about the Miles Sanders thing. This is what my big question was. I think we could pencil in your boy for having another top tier season unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, Jalen probably is going to be the second quarterback off boards
After Mahomes, probably, yeah.
Which I think is probably going to be a reach.
Yeah.
I see Jalen Hurts being near the fourth or fifth, but I mean, you're going off like a difference of 20 points between the top 8 fantasy quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, but it's tough to draft a quarterback that early. I don't care who it is.
Yeah,
it's really
the difference, like you say, between the number 1 and the number 5 quarterback.
It's seriously like 20 points over the year.
Yeah,
so
it's an overreach.
It's just about consistency at that point.
I love your take, and I'm going back to what you said first. I kind of like your Paris Campbell.
Look for the receivers, so Jarvis Landry, Paris Campbell, somebody to cement that wide receiver 3.
I hate the Landry. I honestly
don't want that either.
Yeah, I feel at this point he's pretty much done. I think he's trailed off.
Yeah, slow.
Campbell hasn't proved it anywhere, but he was it at Ohio State,
and he's
been
showed
injured.
flashes.
Oh yeah, he has shown flashes, and I think in the right system, he could be really good. I fear anybody trading and spending a lot on Derrick Henry. I like Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell. I think he is really good.
Yeah. If we let Miles Sanders walk, it's the Gainwell show, and then whatever we draft.
And I don't see Derrick Henry. Would you be afraid to overpay for Derrick Henry? And maybe Tennessee knows something we don't. Is he starting to trail off?
I mean, he's an old, big running back. It's just time to shop him. If you are going to shop him, I don't think there's anything really wrong with him. But the next team that takes him, it's going to be a team that is just needing like that little extra cherry on top that they can already go for a Super Bowl. So that's why they see the Eagles as a suitor. Do I like it? Not a whole lot. Obviously, namesake is pretty cool. I can flaunt Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I just think that
it's fun.
I think the Eagles have a lot of needs, and I don't know that I'd spend it on a running back.
Well, would we be paying Henry a lot? I don't think he's due for contract negotiation, right? We would just be taking whatever he's on.
I don't know what he's getting paid right now, but I guarantee you it's probably $14 million or more.
Yeah, he's probably getting paid that. Yeah. I don't know where he's at in the contract.
In a year where you're losing some players because you're close to the salary.
His base salary in 2023 is $10.5 million. Final year of the deal.
That's not bad. So that's why
whoever's trading him is going to be re-signing him most likely.
Extending
it
could
be a rental. It could be a rental.
Here's the thing, though. You guys have a lot of housework to do.
We do.
So I don't know. That's tough. I mean, you guys have a good GM. I don't know that you want to bring in $10 million in salary when you have so much stuff to take care of at home.
A lot of great running backs in the draft.
He's a cap genius. So the Henry thing is looking improbable for me. That's why if Miles Sanders isn't taking a friendly deal, we are not signing him.
No,
to
you
money.
can't.
It just won't happen, and I'm glad that they're thinking with their brains over there in the front office. But if he walks, Kenneth Gainwell instantly becomes. I would take him in the 5th, 6th, depending on who we draft at running back.
Yeah,
I don't really like taking Bijan Robinson unless we get him at a good value in the draft. Because I'd rather take an offensive lineman. I'd rather take a D lineman. We need help at linebacker too. So the defense, I'm fine with, and who gives a shit because we're talking fantasy.
Yeah.
So as far as offense go, a wide receiver 3, if we can get a good one like Paris Campbell, look as like a late round flyer, and Gainwell shoots up to the 6th round for me if no one's there.
Outside of the moves, just projections for the guys that are already there.
Yeah.
Do we think Brown has the same type of season? Do we think Devontae Smith overtakes him? Which I think is something that can happen personally. Or do you think it's status quo?
I think it's status quo. I love both those players at their ADP. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. I mean, AJ had the receiving record for the Eagles, and Devontae had the reception record for the Eagles.
So that worries me that they're going to be overdrafted a little bit because of that.
I think AJ could be overdrafted because of name. I think you could still get Devontae Smith at value.
That's why I like Smith if I'm taking one or two, because I feel like his season is more reproducible.
Yeah, I agree.
Than AJ Brown's, which is a little more touchdown.
Well, but you got to think though too, because that was their first year together, and although they have chemistry and history in the past, there were games that AJ Brown was not getting targeted or had a few receptions. So I think his reception count gets better. The boomer bust with AJ Brown is more real than Smith, because Smith is going to get those receptions when they're covering AJ Brown. Guess who's getting the ball?
Okay. All right. So I'll just go Giants, or do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
I'll let you close it out. All right. So Giants offense last year was not a fantasy friendly offense. And, I don't see. All right. So there's 2 points I want to make. Barkley's tagged. I think Barkley's going to be overdrafted. I think as a fan that watched every game, halfway through the season, they figured him and that run offense out. He had like a 6-7 game stretch where he was not productive, and they started to put the ball in Jones' hands. I think that continues. He's going to be a weapon, but I don't know that he's going to get the bulk or the volume anywhere near what he had in the first half of the season. So I'd be wary about where he's going if he's going in those first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think that's a miss too.
I'd be hesitant with him. 3rd round, late 2nd round, same as we said with Pollard. I'd feel comfortable with that. Jones finishes QB 14. I think he's a starting QB this year. 15 touchdowns, and I'll passing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns. But I'll stress, those first 10 weeks, they did not throw the ball a lot. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot more. The Eagles game aside, the blowout, the dumpster fire, right? 3 previous games before that, he averaged 32 fantasy points. When they put the ball in his hand at the end of the season, he scored, he produced. The offense looked like a real NFL offense. I think with another year, you get Wandale back and whatever moves they make, and I'll go to that. So I think he's a starting quarterback next year. He was fringe this year with the rushing. I think that continues. Darius Slayton is a guy that's not signed yet. I think they're going to re-sign him because I don't think there's a lot of moves to make in the wide receiver market.
Yeah, it's pretty poor.
They already they drafted their slot last year. They re-signed Hodgins on a cheap deal.
Nice.
I don't see them doing anything crazy because I don't think they're going to go overspend. They don't seem like that type. They didn't want to budge on Barkley. That's why he got tagged. But Slayton, I got his stats pulled up here. He was not in the offense till about week 5 or 6. After that, 46 receptions, 725 yardage, 2 touchdowns. Touchdowns are a little low, but like I said, they weren't really tossing the ball around till late. But he's a speed guy, and he averages over 15 yards a catch. His issue has been for the first 4 years is the drops, but he's a playmaker. He goes up and gets the ball. He's a value guy. And Slayton's a name that you could get, I think, 9th, 10th, 11th round. That could be your wide receiver 3 maybe, but wide receiver 4, perfect for him because he's a guy that if a guy goes down, you could plug in and you're going to be like all season I had him on my bench and popped him in and I would get 12 to 17 points and then he'll have a big day here and there. So I like him a lot. And besides that, they need to get another wideout. I don't see it happening. Anybody that's going to make an impact for fantasy.
Yeah, there's not a market. I like Hodges. I'm not gonna.
I like Hodgins too. He's strong. He runs good routes, but he doesn't separate, and that's why he was on the practice squad. Yeah. But he's a smart receiver.
Another guy to me, he is that like Landry in his prime. Like he's a good route runner.
He doesn't. Yeah, I would compare him more to Robert Woods.
Okay, that's good too.
Because he can't. Yeah. Landry early in his Miami days could separate. Yeah. He get some yak. Okay. Like he catch the ball and.
Yeah, but what is his Hodges 40 time?
I don't know, but it's not
because like Landry was never fast. Now but you're right as far as he did get yards after the catch. But I think Landry's 40 time was like a 4.6.
When you say,
it was
he ran a 4.6.
When you comp him to Robert Woods, would you? I automatically think like there's some running plays that you can incorporate with Isaiah.
No, not in that way. Okay. What I mean is just as a receiver, he's tight route runner, strong hands, makes tough catches.
Yeah.
But he's not an explosive guy.
Yeah, he's not a speedy guy. Yeah.
The only pushback that I'd have, and I agree with the Barkley take 100%. I'm staying away from Barkley. Daniel Jones, I can see being top 10. That improvement's there, even though I don't want to admit it.
Well, I think with the running too, that's where I think he gets.
Well, the running what carried him last year. I think 22 total touchdowns. I think another year you get Hodgins for if they have to get somebody in there, but I think you take a jump with that offense if they continue the progression because all year the offense's progression was from bare bones, seeing what they had, and they progressed to a passing offense at the end of the year. I think he could throw at least 5 or 6 more touchdowns, and that's being That's being conservative. Yeah. And if he could rush for another 5, you're approaching 30 touchdowns.
If I'm taking a Giants wide receiver, though, I'm going like that boomer bust. Like,
I'm going Slayton.
I'd go Hodgins.
No, he's not a boomer bust guy, though. He's your consistent guy.
He averaged, I think he had like 2 20-point games, and then after that, those fall off. I think that's pretty boomer bust.
But I think part of
he
that
doesn't
was
excite
because
me,
they
I
had
guess.
nobody else. Like, I
don't know if they're going to have anybody else. But
I think it's going to be
I think they're going to draft somebody. And the thing I like about this wide receiver class.
Who they're going to draft?
I think you guys need to sign somebody because they have a bunch of Richie Jameses.
They drafted Wan'Dale, and Wan'Dale unfortunately tears his ACL in his breakout game, 110 yards, 7 catches. So we had to see how he bounces back. I get what you're saying about Hodgins. He had big games, but he's just not a guy that I feel comfortable starting every week. Like Slayton, because of his average depth of target.
You think he gets the most snap percentage too, Slayton? Because that was the problem with the Giants. Like I was dropping and starting Richie James, Wan'Dale.
Slayton after week 6, yes.
So
whoever has the most, he was the yak guy, and he's the downfield guy. Not like a Ted Ginn type, but a lot of crossers, and he's fast. He ran like a 4.3. I
don't think the Giants draft anyone because they have names that they need to figure out first. That's why I think they have to sign someone, and I don't think that happens.
I think this is too attractive of a draft to not sign somebody because you've got like 3 or 4 names at the very top wide receiver. They're probably not going to get any of them.
No.
But
I think they take one late, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that there's like the same receiver that you can get in rounds 2 to 6. And I think that's where they get him.
Well, they might, but is he going to impact anything? I don't know.
And then I think who they get. Kenny Galladay, man, they keep. I mean, he's there.
It's ridiculous.
Listen, he's like herpes. You're never getting rid of him.
Is that after the Browns cut him?
Maybe.
And I mentioned a few shows ago to tight end. I do think he's going to be a nice value pick. I think he could be a top 10 guy.
I like him.
He was a rookie last year. He mixed 6 games, had good numbers. But besides that, not a lot too exciting. Daniel Jones, I think, is a starter, and Saquon. Don't bite too early.
Yeah, I'm weird.
Slayton's your value. You think Hodgins. I'm not going to argue. Go crazy.
Tomato.
I just think Slayton's more of a playmaker than him.
So where do you take Saquon in a fantasy draft? If you draft,
if he's sitting there at the end of the 2nd round, I would take him. But I can't
even know if I would.
He's healthy.
You have to. I think
he's coming off a healthy season. My overdrafting is I'm not taking Saquon as one of the first 2
and somebody probably
3 running backs. That's why I won't take him there.
Somebody
just because I think unless they plan to get him involved in the way that McCaffrey is this year, as far as finding more ways to get him the ball, he's not going to get the volume of rushes. I'm telling you from watching them play, they faded his impact on the game. Not impact.
I had him.
They were making him more. He was more impactful, less volume, more efficient.
I think that's just how Dayball calls a running back. Like to me,
early in the year it wasn't like that.
He was getting like 20 touches a game.
Yeah.
Well, but
that's why he was so hot to start.
But was that because he had no choice?
He had no choice, and what happened was they went to school on it. They started shutting down the play action and the run game, and we went through like 4 weeks where the offense looked stagnant.
Right. But when you look at how he used to call Buffalo, he intermingled running back.
They didn't have Saquon Barkley though. So.
Well, that's fair. That's fair too. Yeah.
Your number 2 is Matt Breida, right? You don't think you take a rookie running back?
No, I think they keep Matt Breida. He was good.
Okay.
In his role, Saquon gets most of the snaps.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be smart to waste cap. I mean, maybe, I don't know, because they franchised him. So.
I was trying to think maybe a pro play in like deep leagues or in dynasty is to take whoever the Giants draft at running back, but I don't.
Yeah, he didn't come off the field a lot.
Okay.
My thing with him is they started he was more efficient, he used less, and they started passing the ball more. I think that's going to continue.
Early 3rd round, late 3rd round, taking it all day. I just can't take Saquon in the
first or the early second. Yeah.
Can't do it.
Like I could take, that's tough.
I can't do it. No, I just can't. I just can't do it.
Like if I pick 6 in the 2nd round and I got 1 running back, it's going to be hard not to take him right there.
I think there are other running back. I mean, I don't know what the ADP is looking like right now, so I can't
he is somebody with
name.
High upside, high ceiling potential.
Yeah,
like that's the problem. Is like
he's tempting. Here's my one hesitation.
They're just not committed to him either with the tag. Like
they're not, but that also gives them more incentive to kind of run him into the ground. But
Saquon's that girl you see at 2 a.m. You've had 7 or 8 beers.
No, that's an ugly girl. I'm hesitant. Here's what makes me hesitant about the one thing that makes me hesitant is he even better another year removed from the ACL repair?
He should be, yeah.
And then maybe he looks better than he did because he faded in the second half of the season.
It just worries me the fade that happened. Like I think people got gold in the late third or early third, like I did, and it's like hurts. Like they can't do as good as they did. Like you got to take some. You got to take a step back when you look at them.
All right. That being said, let's talk about the Commanders.
Washington Commanders. Normally you're like, oh God, we're talking about the Commanders. But like to me, this is kind of an exciting team to talk about. They cut Wentz, right?
Yep.
I like that move.
Out of the league probably.
Yeah, I think.
No, he's gonna latch on somewhere.
He probably will. Sad as it is.
He won't play as a backup anywhere.
No, I think he'll start somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, he's got enough money, but here's what I like about Washington. They're $36 million under the cap.
That's right.
They got the money to make some moves.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at their roster, both defense and offense, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
They need to figure out what they're going to do with quarterback. But if they can figure out what they're going to do with quarterback, or if Sam Howell is the quarterback,
as of right now,
he is right now, and we have a 1-game sample, but it looked interesting.
Yeah.
I like their skill position players.
They have good skill.
I like their
skilled.
running back. I like JD, and I like Brian Robinson.
You don't like Gibson?
I don't like Gibson. I like his potential. I like how he looked in his first year.
Physically.
Of course.
Okay.
But last year he fumbled too much. He's in the doghouse, and I think that he's somebody who could be traded pretty easily if they find the right suitor, or I think he could be that backup running back. But I'm really high in Brian Robinson, and that was a guy who missed 5 games as a rookie, came back and got better every single game that he played, and who the coaching staff seems really high on.
Okay.
And in Alabama, he did everything. He ran and he caught. So
here's my question. Throw a little monkey wrench in here. Ron Rivera's claim to fame is keep pounding, right? That's his mantra. They run, they play defense. You bring in Eric Bieniemy from a Chiefs offense that likes to utilize multiple backs. Does that hurt these guys? Are you going to see Brian Robinson being a bell cow? Are they going to be moving him in and out the way they do in KC?
I think they're going to mix in. I do think you're going to see more of J.D. McKissick. I do think that. I think it's possible that you might see Gibson some, but they don't like people that fumble. And so
true.
Gibson's going to fumble the ball like he has the last 2 seasons.
Or?
He maybe not, but I still think that if you're going to draft a back in fantasy football, it's Brian Robinson.
I mean, I think to answer the question, I think it's literally a poor man's Pacheco and McKinnon. I think Brian Robinson's Pacheco. I think if the talent's there, Bieniemy will use him enough.
Yeah.
And I think McKinnon is JD. They're going to catch the ball. They're going to have those end zone plays.
Yeah.
Okay.
At receiver, I absolutely love what Eric's going to do for Scary Terry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. I'm curious what Curtis Samuel can do. His last year in Carolina, he had a coach that figured out how to use him right? We thought that was the same coach that was in Washington. They haven't figured it out yet.
Well, the first few weeks, Samuel was on a tear. They figured something out.
But it hasn't kind of worked, and I think so much of that is dependent on who they get at quarterback. And I saw a lot out of Jahan Dotson. There was a stretch where he was catching a decent number of balls, but he was catching a ton of touchdowns.
My hot take, I think Dotson winds up being the lead guy in that receiver room next year.
I think at the very least, he's the guy scoring the most touchdowns.
I
still think Scary Terry might be the most targets.
Well, I don't know who to take in that offense because I like McLaurin. I think he's the best receiver pound for pound in that room, but man, he fell off last year for fantasy. Like you couldn't trust him in games that you needed him. I don't know who to take.
And here's another
part
thing.
of that was I think the poor quarterback.
We're talking about the positioning of these guys and Bieniemy, but a lot of it's gonna kind of balance on who the quarterback obviously is. But I really like Dotson. I think
I love Dotson.
I love McLaurin,
and I like De'Ami Brown.
I
don't hate De'Ami Brown.
I think I think Dotson is a guy. I think he's going to use him in the way that he used Hill.
Supposed to be used. Yes.
I think he's going to get a lot of hand, like Samuel is, but Samuel's on.
To me, Dotson.
He's gone after this year. I think Dotson.
To me, Dotson is a faster Juju.
Well,
Like,
Juju's
he's not as quick as you think.
no. I mean, he's not great. I think Dotson's better.
That's yeah. Okay.
In always.
So what about tight end? Because I'm looking at their Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner.
No one.
Turner's a better receiver. Bates is a blocker.
I'm not taking
and
any
Logan
of
is
them.
old.
He's 31, but he looked old last year.
Stay away
and
from.
he can't stay healthy.
Stay away from every Commander's tight end. I'm not even looking at names, to be
Yeah.
honest.
But I mean, but you say that, but look who's coming over from KC. And
Yeah,
this
but
is a
they
guy
have,
that
like-
knows how to design
No
a
one's
tight
Travis
end
Kelce.
route.
I don't know if they. No, I think Travis.
Commanders bring over Mike Gesicki. Maybe he's the next Travis Kelce.
Yeah, that's Mark. No, I
Cole
think
Turner's the next Uzeki.
I think the Kelsey thing is more about Kelsey. I think he just has a good feel. I don't think that's any scheming going on.
I'm going to call it here. Cole Turner is the next Mike Gesicki.
So he's not even the next Travis Kelce. He's just the next Gesicki. Okay, I guess.
Okay, so what do we think about, like, this is where it gets interesting,
Earthquake.
and I know we're going to talk a little bit about
We're gonna talk about a bunch. Yeah.
later, but this is a team that I would look at and say if they might be a suitor for Lamar.
That's right.
They have the 16th pick in the first round, so I'm not afraid to give that pick up if I think that I'm getting the quarterback I want, and especially if I think that he moves the needle, because I'm giving up a 16th pick. Who cares?
Yeah.
And the next year I'm probably giving up the 20th or worse pick. Who cares?
All right.
I'm giving too high first round.
Before we go there, let's slot these guys. Is Brian Robinson a top 4-round pick?
Yes, to me he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
I'd like to get him in the
Is
third.
McLaurin a top 4-round pick?
Well, let me hear what you think.
I think Robinson's early 5th for me. I'm not far off, but I'm not taking him as my RB3.
That's how many bullets he took in the ass. Funny you say that.
I think I think that's tough. RB3 is. I would feel okay with him as RB3 in a 12 team. I mean,
It's not terrible, but I'm not aiming for Brian Robinson in the 4th round.
And McLaurin, do you feel like he's a top 4?
I think it's a muddy situation. I want to go kind of like what you said. I want to go through the preseason. I want to see who flashes,
Flexes?
who's the quarterback, who they're kind of targeting in the preseason.
Well,
I
yeah.
want to.
But you know what, Rocky? This is way too early, so go out on a limb there, guys.
I think McLaurin is out of the top 25 fantasy receivers as of right now.
Out of top 25.
Yeah.
Right now, I would go Dotson because I liked his touchdown production. So I think you might not get as many targets as Terry, but I think you get more scoring.
I think they're going to try to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah. I think he proved that when he got the ball in his hands, he did beautiful things.
All right. Well, talking about Lamar.
Pressing issues. What's the issue? If there's issues, we're gonna press them.
Come on down.
All right. So Lamar Jackson was franchise tagged today with the non-exclusive tag,
Interesting.
meaning, if you don't know, that other teams can talk to him and offer him a contract, and the Ravens will choose whether they want to match or let him walk for 2 first-round picks in return. Now, let me set this up, guys. Let me set the table here. Baltimore has been unwilling to give Lamar Jackson a contract because he wants a fully guaranteed contract.
Yep.
So,
Thanks, Watson.
common sense says that anybody
Way to go, Browns.
or any team
Reset
that's
the market.
willing to offer him a contract is going to be doing so within those parameters and also going to be willing to give up 2 first-round picks. My thought is, why then would Baltimore turn around and give him the contract that they have not wanted to give him this whole time versus letting him walk, which they are comfortable obviously doing, and getting the 2 first-round picks back? So I think that he is going to be somewhere else next season. That being said, who or where do we think he's going? We know we have 5 teams that you mentioned earlier. I don't know if I could. Dolphins, Raiders, Falcons,
Commanders,
Panthers. Commanders said they're out?
Commanders said they're out.
Okay, so that's 5 teams that said they're out on him.
Or, I mean, not like 100%, but they are not expected to be Lamar suitors.
Okay. All right, so who do we think goes and gets him? And we're talking about a former MVP, a guy still young, injury concerns, especially with the style of play, but undoubtedly, I mean, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. However you want to look at him, whether you like the way he plays the position or not, he's a name, he's a ticket seller, and he's a guy that gives your franchise some juice.
Yeah, so you got to look at it. I look at it at first, like, who can pay that, right? You would think, I mean, the Bears have all the money in the world, but will stay with Justin Fields.
And they have the first pick, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think the Jets might get desperate if they don't land Rodgers. They got to swing for Jackson.
I agree.
I wish he went to the Falcons. I think Lamar on the Falcons is the best with the run scheme.
Is that just a Mike Vick thing, though?
Oh, no, it's Arthur Smith. It's an Arthur Smith thing, actually.
Okay. I'm trying to think of other suitors for this guy.
I mean, the 5 teams that are allegedly out were some of the ones that he looked best at.
I thought the Commanders made a lot of sense. I think the Jets do if they swing and miss with Rodgers.
So did the Commanders, is that the Commanders saying they're out? Or
it's multiple reports saying that those 5 teams are not likely to pursue Lamar Jackson.
So are the Tennessee Titans, were they on that list?
They were not on that list.
Because that's like, I'm reading a report right now saying that they are a possible landing spot.
That would make a lot of sense, and it would make sense trying to get rid of Henry as well.
Malik Willis can learn a lot from Lamar Jackson.
I think, I guess. Is that another black thing?
No.
Just saying.
Ryan Tannehill is probably the same type of runner Malik Willis is. What are you going to say there?
Yeah, so this is a recent article saying the Falcons are number 1. They still have Baltimore listed number 2.
Mm-hmm. Raiders.
The Jets,
I was going to say the Raiders.
You know, I think like very maybe boring and maybe hot take is the Ravens keep Lamar Jackson. I mean,
I don't see it.
If they're thinking in any type of like human, like psychiatric perspective, they're saying, okay, make our decision for us. Because if no one takes the bait for Lamar Jackson, then okay, we'll take him. And then if they do, cool, we get 2 first. Like, I think with they're
in a no-lose
the
position.
uncertainty of what Baltimore and Lamar have been in for the last almost 3 years now. Baltimore said, okay, make our decision for us. I think that's what's going on.
So here's what I think. I think there's 2 things. Number one, like I said, they don't want to give him that. So, all right, so I'll agree with you. He stays if nobody offers him because that's what happens.
Yeah.
But
that's not a hot take, but yes.
I think somebody's going to offer him. At that point, we know that it has to be a guaranteed contract for him to take it. I don't think they're matching it. The reason they put the tag is so they could get the picks in return.
Yeah.
And they don't want to match it.
So who's desperate enough? A.k.a. the New York Jets if Rodgers
The Jets, I think the Raiders are also desperate enough.
But the Raiders
are
are
Falcons,
out.
And I do
And the
think
Falcons
Well,
are
that's just the report, but that I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, but like, I think Baltimore is forcing him.
You think he bucks up and takes not a guaranteed contract?
Well,
Maybe from somebody else, but
possibly because I think he's pissed at the Ravens.
I think a lot of the players are. There was something that came out a few days ago, one of the receivers.
Yeah.
No, they're trashing him. Bateman.
Yeah,
Because
Bateman, yeah.
Yeah, because they got rated as like one of the worst franchises by
Oh, yeah, I seen that.
independent study.
That report card?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And-
wow, on playing personnel and on...
And he argued,
general.
what isn't he going at the GM?
Yeah,
well, they were
because...
going at the GM. They were basically saying, a lot of players are saying that the staff, the trainers, are the cause of their injuries.
Well, the Ravens haven't put a lot around Lamar and to talk shit about the players that are around Lamar that you put there. I mean, not a good look.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing to me is like, if nobody bites and offers a contract, then Lamar comes back and has no choice but to play
On the franchise tag.
and to play and like to go all
Play
out.
well. He has to play well, yeah.
And he has to play. He can't like sit out with small injuries.
Well, yeah, there's the
because
upside.
He's
Yeah.
playing for the contract.
I
He
just
has-
don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think somebody's going to say this guy's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Right? In
It's
a
a-
QB desperate league.
We're talking about him like it's RG3 after his
I know.
release from the
Everyone's
Redskins,
scared.
but he's not. It's one knee injury, former MVP. The guy's young, And Rocky, whatever you mean, I know you don't love him.
I don't love him. I
He's
have more
an im-
questions
he's
about
an im-
him than I do about Jalen Hurts.
That's fair because yes, that is fair.
Yeah.
But he's an impactful player. I mean, it's not if
I
you do
agree.
get him in Atlanta with
No,
Pitts,
I agree.
That's the best.
And I mean,
that is the best.
in London,
Yes.
that's and on that turf in
In
that
a-
stadium.
in a bad division too.
No, that division is
Forget
wide
about it.
open.
Yeah.
Like Brady's retired.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina doesn't have a quarterback, right? Is Carolina in that division?
Carolina.
Yes, they are,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Man,
Oh, sir, they have Sam Darnold. Okay.
Darnold's.
Darnold.
Apparently,
And
the
then-
Panthers aren't pursuing quarterback. They're cool with what they have. Like,
Yeah, well, he
there's a
played
lot of
well.
reports
That
He
there.
did-
says
didn't-
so much about Carolina.
But he didn't play.
Frank
he
Reich
wasn't
likes
bad last year.
random quarterbacks.
Stop.
You think he was bad?
Stop. Sam Darnold?
You thought he was bad last year?
Sam Darnold is not.
Go
a
get it
difference.
straight
I mean,
away from the media. You know the
Okay.
Oh, Sam Darnold's bad.
Is he a bad
wasn't-
quarterback?
He
No.
wasn't bad last year.
Is he going to get them ever to a Super Bowl?
He could get them to the playoffs.
Is
Who
he
is
gonna
it?
Get, okay, but is that their goal?
Yeah, if you haven't been there in a while, yeah.
Come on.
You gotta walk before you can run, Rocky. You gotta get to the playoffs.
He's their placeholder and they're drafting.
What do you think? I haven't made the playoffs in 3 years.
So
We're
they're
gonna win the
draft a
Super Bowl.
quarterback this year, and they're going to.
Yeah, why not?
Okay,
Yeah, why
that's
wouldn't
fair.
they do that?
That's fair. If that's their goal. Yeah.
You think Jim Irsay pays Lamar to play in Indy in a weak division?
I don't know that Lamar wants to go to Indy.
I mean, they've been trying to plug and play quarterbacks for a while.
I don't know that he wants to go play there. If I'm Lamar and I want guaranteed money, like
going
Atlanta feels nice.
I'm going through every team though. I can't.
If I'm Atlanta, why are you not in? The Saints
know.
just went and got Carr.
Because you just
They're the
drafted-
favorite right now.
I mean, you just drafted Desmond.
he's
and maybe
not ready to play.
No, he's not. But maybe I mean,
No, I don't think
So
so.
let's talk about that. Derek Carr goes to the Saints at a pretty reasonable deal. And I
Yeah.
think they're clearly the favorite to win that division now with that defense
okay.
and a markable upgrade at quarterback.
He has two things he never had in with
A
the Raiders:
defense,
a
yeah.
defense and an actual good team, like
No.
an actual good front office.
I have.
Okay, that the front office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
I have.
front office.
I have a gear to grind.
Okay.
I have a gear to grind. For the Saints and Derek Carr to come to a deal, I don't think it makes any sense for either parts of that deal. Derek Carr won 8 games, lost like 28 games with Dennis Allen as his head coach with the Raiders.
Yeah.
They have no cap space.
Yeah.
How are the Saints signing Carr to a $4,160,000 or whatever it is, or maybe that's Daniel Jones'
I'm going
contract?
to answer
but
that in a second.
how are they paying him? How are they paying Michael Thomas? That defense is good, but that defense is getting old. Cam Jordan is becoming more of a trash talker than a good defensive player. I don't think it makes any sense. The Saints need to have a 2-win season in order to reset the clock. The Saints are going to win another 7 to maybe 9 games with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is good. I like Derek Carr. I'm a pro Derek Carr guy. But besides the money that Derek Carr got, why else would he do it? And why would the Saints? It makes no sense. They went from Andy Dalton, who won 6 games or 7 games with them. Derek Carr won the same amount of games in Las Vegas with a better receiving core, a better running back core. You could say better defensive playmakers with Max Crosby. The back end of that defense is terrible, but that front seven's not terrible either.
Listen,
Go. You want to go? Or?
the NFL salary cap is make believe. It doesn't matter at all. And the signing of Derek Carr, you guys made fun of me several weeks ago. The signing of Derek Carr proves that the NFL salary cap is make believe. And people have been saying it for years. The Browns are over the cap. Who cares? You know who the Browns are going to sign? They're gonna cut John Jefferson 3, and they're gonna sign the best safety. They're gonna cut a safety and sign a better safety. They're gonna restructure.
Yeah, you
Deshaun
restructure.
Watson.
Yeah.
It's make believe. It's all fictional
The
numbers.
Saints, I get that, but the Saints have been in cap hell for a few years now.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
Doesn't
but
matter.
what I'm saying is that could be fine, and if your quarterback fixes the problem, sure. But the Saints have billions of things that they need to fix. So they're going to be they're going to win 7 games for the next 5 years.
I disagree.
They have to reset the clock.
They had
Maybe,
a much
yeah.
They had a much better defense than the Raiders. Number one,
They do. I'm not going to argue
much
that.
better defense.
Kamara was out for a lot of last year.
Who knows if he plays this
here's-
much more next
Here's the
year.
other things that division, getting Derek Carr in that building, they have Chris Olave.
You become a playoff
You
team.
get Michael Thomas. Maybe you become a playoff team with a home game
I think
in the
you're-
Superdome.
I think your first round exit.
You think somebody's coming in there and beating them?
It's likely. Dennis Allen and Derek Carr won 8 games in like 4 seasons. There's no way that just automatically plug and play is good. They had.
Oh man.
At running back, it's very suspect, and it's still a suspect. There's nothing better going on with his legal problems, and he's 1 year older. I mean, besides Chris Olave, they have Jarvis Landry's washed. Michael Thomas is hurt. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it.
At the very least, you're getting a home playoff game.
Yeah, but wait for the Falcons to maybe get Lamar Jackson. Wait for the Panthers to do
I know
better
we're
too.
basing it on. Well, okay.
I'm just saying, like the Bucs are going to be terrible.
As it stands right now,
Everything else
as it stands right now, they're the favorite to win that division.
Yeah, well,
Unless somebody makes a move.
their odds moved by like 60 points, but that's because no other team has made a move yet.
Exactly, but who's making a move?
I think there's a lot of things that can happen in the draft, and even if that doesn't happen,
Nobody's drafting a quarterback.
I think
That's
the
going to come in and start.
Panthers
Maybe Atlanta signs.
The only thing is, if Atlanta gets Lamar Jackson, it moves the needle. If they don't, nobody's challenging them for that division.
I can see
Kyle
the Panthers.
Trask.
I can see the Panthers and the Falcons splitting the series with the Saints.
No way.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know how you see that. They have the best defense in the division. You now have the best quarterback in the division. How do you see them not winning that division?
I'm going off of what is going to also happen. The Panthers are going to get a little bit better just off player personnel, and
Maybe.
I think they have a good coach, and Sam Darnold can play football. The only thing that I can see the Falcons splitting the series with the Saints is
What world am I in where you guys are talking about Sam Darnold
I
playing
just said
football?
he did have a good year.
the Falcons.
Okay year.
Yeah, it was. Well, it's not an embarrassment. It's not Kyle Trask. But I don't agree. I don't think they compete with them at all.
Falcons are a quarterback away and have an underrated secondary. I think that defense is not going to be terrible. And I mean, they
other
don't
than
have
that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play?
What?
They don't have a quarterback.
All I'm saying is that it's not. It doesn't take a lot to beat the Saints, especially when you're a division rival. You can split the series. If the Falcons play the Saints early in the year, they can win that game.
I don't think so. Why do you think that? Desmond Ridder is going to go in there and light it up?
He doesn't have to light it up. They can do just enough. The Saints aren't scoring 1 billion points.
They're going to score.
I don't think so.
They won 6-7 games with Andy Dalton and Peyton Hillis last year. What's his name?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. That's who they won games with. Derek Carr, for all the winning he hasn't done in the playoffs, he's a good passer.
I'm a Derek Carr fan.
He consistently throws for over 4,000 yards. Yes, they have Olave. If Michael Thomas is a question, if Kamara's back, it's a question. Their defense and good quarterback play, they will easily win that division.
10 wins, first round exit. That's the call.
It depends on who they match up with. You're saying it like they can't win a game in the Superdome. That's a tough place to play. Who's the team in the NFC that you think is just going to walk in there and beat them if it's not the Eagles or the Cowboys or the 49ers? Everybody, who are you so worried about?
I can't go that far ahead. I'm just looking off.
Well, we're going there, buddy.
I'm just saying off of the look of this team.
They're the best team in the division. Hands down, they're winning the division right now if nobody makes another move at quarterback.
It still doesn't make any sense for the direction of this team.
You're saying the division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who's going to beat them in that division?
I
think
agree
the
with
Panthers
you.
are
We
Panthers
just
being
don't
slept
know. Yeah, we just don't know yet because there's a lot of things going on. Right now, you got to give it to them.
I'm saying right now. Obviously.
The Saints need a hard reset. Their coach isn't going to be sustainable for the next few years. Derek Carr's on his retirement plan.
Let me see here. Now you got me looking up stuff.
That's the.
I mean, I'm looking at Sam Darnold like you guys are. It's like he's walking on water. I'm seeing a guy that it was 58% completion rate. He was okay. He's the definition of okay.
And I think the Panthers are the definition of above adequate in a lot of categories, and that's enough to be a slept-on team, in my opinion.
Depending on how they draft, I could agree with that.
Yeah, their offensive line is going to be stout. I mean, they have 2 good running backs, and they could even get another one. Sam Darnold with Frank Wright will be okay enough.
But their
they have DJ Moore.
First pick, they're going to take a quarterback with. I'm convinced of that. And I think they're probably going to take somebody they think that can sit behind Sam Darnold and learn. So that's probably a Will Levy or something. But
Brian Burns is there. They have a decent defense. They
have good defense, yeah.
They
have a good defensive line for sure.
More of my grind my gear. I get why Derek Carr went to the Saints. They were going to pay him the most. That makes sense for his pocket. But if I'm a Saints fan, I'm not happy about this at all. You have to set the.
How could you not be happy? Because what are your alternatives?
You have to reset the clock.
I don't think
you have to.
You're in a winnable division. Why would you just let it sit there?
You can't win the Super Bowl with this team.
You weren't.
You guys are. I don't get that thought process. He was saying the same thing before. I don't get that thought process.
I'll explain it.
You have to get. You don't build a Super Bowl winner by just saying, "Well, we got to get everything." You have to progress to it. You can't. You got to get to the playoffs.
The Colts are becoming what the Saints are already, where they're just trying to put Band-Aids on things, and they're not getting anywhere. Maybe a first round, maybe a playoff game.
I think the Colts are rebooting this year.
Well, I think they should, because I'm just saying, like, the Saints and the Colts look very comparable to me because they just keep trying to win games, and it's looking sloppy. Like, it doesn't make. They're running out of players. They're either getting old or they're getting hurt. They're signing bad deals. Like, they're maybe winning their division because the division is bad, not because their team is good. Like, it doesn't make any sense as a Saints fan. I'd hate this shit. Like, I would just want.
That's crazy to me. I don't know how you could think that.
I'd rather suck for 2 seasons. Get Dennis Allen out of there. Get a good quarterback.
Who's the good quarterback?
Put money back on the salary cap.
Who's the good quarterback?
That's like looking early into it.
I'm saying even if you reset and you draft a franchise quarterback next year, then you're still talking about 2 to 3 years to when you're really a contender. Yeah. So you're talking about 4 or 5 years down the line.
I mean, the Eagles had Chip Kelly before they had Sirianni and an MVP candidate. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but they were trying to win.
Yeah, but it didn't work. And even if
it doesn't work for 31 teams, you got it. You can't just say it's either Super Bowl or bust.
I'm not saying
if you could win your division by making one move, which they did, and they're going to, unless somebody makes a move at quarterback, you do that because you could beat anybody that walks in that building in a wild card game.
The other side of that coin is that if the entire division sucks and there's no pressure to win now, I mean, you can also be shitty with the rest of them, and hopefully you are better than they are.
Or you could just win it now.
I mean,
and then lose in the second round.
Maybe. What if Jalen Hurts gets hurt in the wild card weekend and then they beat the Eagles?
I'm saying not every team needs to do this. Like, not every team has to do the get rich quick, but the Saints have not been getting rich with what they've been doing. So
but
then
I mean,
you
Derek
have
Carr is an above average quarterback.
But they've been good for a long time. Breeze retires, and that's where they kind of had a hiccup.
They should have done it then.
Maybe, but that defense is still good.
Dude, you're slapping things together.
Not really. You're just bringing in a quarterback.
Yeah, well, they tried
a quarterback.
Jarvis Landry.
We're talking about this whole segment. We're talking about quarterbacks being brought in. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and he's a career 65% completion rate, 35,000 yards, 217 touchdowns, 90 interceptions. Like, he's not just a quarterback.
I like Derek Carr. Derek Carr makes the Saints a playoff team. I'm not saying that's not true.
I mean, as a Browns fan,
I'm saying
I'd give my left nut for a couple years of playoffs.
Yeah, but the Saints don't have. That's the thing, though. The Saints don't have to. Like, the Browns and the Saints are different. Like, if I'm a Browns fan, I'm probably looking at that and I'm going cool. But I'm saying, like, as a Saints fan, I'm just not liking this. My franchise doesn't have any face to it. It's Derek Carr on the retirement plan.
Listen, if you get a home playoff game, you get in the playoffs, you can win. All you got to do is get in the dance. You have a chance to win. I'll give you this. The Saints finished top 8 in defensive DVOA, 5 consecutive seasons, top 5 run unit in all of them, top 3 overall last 2 years. Okay? Pass rushes, they still have, I know what's his name is fading a little bit. Tyrann Mathieu there, Marcus May, Dennis Allen, who is a defensive guy.
Yeah.
That defense is going to be tough, just like they've been the last 2-3 years, and they're going to play at home. And they're going to win that. Nobody's going to beat them for that division. And you get a team to come in there, wild card weekend. Yes, a second round playoff being there is something.
If you can build off of it, but the Saints are in a corner
David
right now.
Carr is 31.
The Saints are in a corner.
So let me ask you this question.
Why are they in a corner? Because of their salary cap?
It's that and the fact
kick that down the
line. They
line.
don't have any draft capital either. They don't have. I'm saying, like, the assets to continue making this a decent move are not there.
Like, so what
did the Eagles do? What did the Eagles do? They had a crazy contract that they gave Carson Wentz. He was playing like garbage.
Yeah, we traded
How
him.
did they? Exactly. So how do you turn that around in 2 years?
What the Eagles did?
Well, I'm saying they were in a bad spot. They were hamstrung by that contract.
Yeah.
And they were able to turn that around and have that route.
We changed the entire team. We had 5 players from that Super Bowl run.
You didn't reset, though.
I mean, we won like 6 games like 2 seasons ago.
That was with Wentz.
No, that was with
when
that was
Hurts came in. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but
And then the next year you went to the playoffs, and the next year you went to the Super
what
Bowl.
the Eagles didn't do is they didn't sign some schmuck. No, Derek Carr's not a schmuck.
He's not, but he's 31.
But we also had picks. We had cap. Like we had
Because
had
you
more.
traded Wentz.
But it wasn't. It was not just that. Though.
Not just that, but you're saying like it
assuming
can't
there's no other
happen.
moves.
I'm saying that the Saints have not shown that they can collect assets and create space to build off of what they want to do.
Yeah, but there could be more moves coming. There could be a Michael Thomas trade. There could be a trade for.
I don't think.
Why?
Mike Thomas is in a terrible contract.
That's true.
Derek Carr and Michael Thomas are getting all the money for the Saints right now. They have an old and not only a running back out of the typical prime by age, but also one that might not see the field because of other things. And the fact that they have no. Well, I'm not considering Michael Thomas as even playing football
Me
right
neither.
now.
And see, speaking of not being on the field, what about John Morant? It's a segue.
R.I.P. man.
Yeah.
What is it? All right, so we
That's-
were reading a bunch of stuff before this happened. We're just going to toss this out there.
Yeah.
So it's in the air that he could be suspended for a reasonable amount of time, like 50 games, you said?
Games. Well, and not only that, there's like videos that are circulating which are showing other things, showing some pretty big chug-a-lugs.
Chug-a-lug.
Chug-a-lug.
Tequila bottles.
I like the chug-a-lug.
So there's, a lot of rumors swirling about potentially him going into some rehab facilities.
Do we think he deserves to be suspended, though? I mean,
You have to suspend him.
50 games, is that too much? Too little?
I think that's kind of steep.
So I think it's part of the Gilbert Arenas situation.
Yeah.
Where-
Are you aware of that? No.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think
You know who Gilbert Arenas is?
Name sounds familiar.
Okay.
he actually played for the Magic.
I feel bad. For that.
At one point.
I should know
Yeah.
that one.
Hibachi.
Yeah, he played for a lot of teams.
Gilbert Arenas was a great scorer, great guard.
Yeah, and he just have alcohol problems.
He brought a gun to the locker
Brought a gun
room.
to the locker room.
Holy.
And so
Okay? And he has a pretty successful podcast too now, if you check it out. He's good.
pretty
He's a
funny,
talker.
actually.
Yeah, he's
Pretty
good.
funny. And so after that situation, I think that they made it mandatory that if you had a firearm,
Yeah.
it was a 50-game suspension. So I don't think that they have any.
So it's not the alcoholism; it's the fact that he put a gun on alive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think the alcoholism was a more thing with the team
I think the alcoholism is like,
and maybe
hey, maybe
fueling
this is
bad
a nice,
decisions.
Maybe this is like this is the reason. I
Yeah.
mean, like there's got to be
Yeah.
a reason you brandish a gun.
Here's
I was
the-
shocked when this happened in real time before we started recording. The Grizzlies. I think about this from the Grizzlies. They talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
They pretend like they're the bad guys when they have nothing, and now they really have nothing.
They really
going on
have
for
nothing.
them.
And here's the thing with Morant. I don't think. All right, so 50 games it feels a little steep. But I think when you connect all the dots, because there's other stories. There's him beating up a 17-year-old a month ago.
Yeah.
And not only just hitting him to protect himself, but hitting him multiple times when he was on the ground. Him then walking outside with a gun in his waistband. There's also the incident with the Pacers. Do you remember that? Where one of his crew, right, came out on the court talking to the Pacers coaching staff,
I didn't know that.
in
one.
quotes, threatening them. Then after the game on the team bus, the Pacers said there was a red laser being flashed from a car in his party into the bus. And they're
Those are
assuming
normal things.
yeah,
that
normal things. They were assuming it was connected,
happen.
a
Hasn't
site.
flashed. Who hasn't flashed
So,
that?
so there's that stuff that's building up to this, and then he's on live with a gun. And John Morant is a guy that the NBA, especially this season, has put their weight behind, is making the face of the league. Nike dropped Kyrie, pushing Morant. That's all synergy. They have him on the ESPN games, the TNT games. All that stuff is going on. Not to mention the stuff with Shannon Sharp.
Yeah. It's a
And then a
shame.
guy flashes a gun. You can't have the face of your league.
Got to make an example of it.
Do that.
honestly.
I heard a story today. I'm trying to remember which NBA player it was. It was Carmelo Anthony. He told a story when he was younger because now the difference is Morant didn't come up in a bad neighborhood, but Melo came up in a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
He had this his group that was around him. David Stern pulled him into his office, says, I know what's going on. I know everywhere your friends are. I know where you go to sleep at night. He says, and I know what your friends are doing. Either they stop or you cut them off. And he said, this is, Stern would curse people out. Said, we can't have it and all that stuff. And that's what happened with Morant. They're going to make an example out of him. They told Melo, I had to make an example out of you if you don't clean up. because you got to let other players know that you can't do stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's bad for advertisers. It's bad for fans. They're going to start looking at the league like it's
Right.
You
Well,
know.
I think that's the weird thing is that whereas like, some players you understand, where they grew up or how they grew up, some of their friend circles, they legitimately grew up in like some tough situations.
yeah.
But that's not like how Morant grew up.
That's not. And even if you did, you still got to clean that up. You're dealing with a corporation now.
And he's got a kid too. I mean,
There's that. There's also that. But yeah, I think the 50 games is warranted if he gets it. I mean, it might be the best thing for him too. If he's ever going to straighten up, something like this will straighten you up. And if he's not, then he wasn't going to.
it's
That's
a shame
how I
too
look at
because
it.
I don't really care too much about Morant because he's on the Grizzlies and I don't know. I think he's a great player. I thought he was like just making the Grizzlies what they were, and it's kind of a shame to be honest.
I mean, he's definitely a great player, no doubt
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Should have
But,
probably been the number 1 overall pick because of Zion's just not being
Injury,
being on the court.
Yeah.
I mean, was there any rumors of this stuff before?
I
the
didn't hear
draft? 'Cause
anything,
I
This
didn't
no.
came
hear
out of
anything
nowhere,
either.
man.
Yeah.
That's why I was more like surprised all this, but it's not. You're right about how this stuff isn't all coming out at once because of coincidence.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, boys, that's the show. We are gonna have to start getting to work on Mark's punishment video.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah.
We didn't get any requests, so I think next week.
Well, we didn't really
Or maybe-
solicit requests too. We
We
should
did.
maybe put a clip out where we solicit.
Talking to the camera and ask them.
Yeah. So So last year, Mark lost our picks section, and he did suck. And not only did he lose, because
Lost by a lot.
Yeah, it was a spectacular, epic failure. It was almost like he wasn't trying, but we knew he was.
He was trying.
Yeah. So we need him to recreate a video, right,
Yeah.
of a song. So we need your
We need some requests.
request.
We're gonna put them in a hat and we're
yeah.
gonna pick it out.
The
Yeah.
sillier, the better. So any genre, any time period.
Yes.
Stupider the better. We would love for you guys to give us a selection.
And I say 2 weeks from today, since you're gonna be gone next week, maybe we come in with ours, put it in a hat,
Yeah.
and pick it out.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So you know where to find us. If you don't, it's at
GON Podcast.
on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. If you're watching us here on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, right? Okay. Apple Podcast. Yeah, man. Comment, like, share us, please. If you have somebody that you like,
Do some work for us.
If you have-
respects your opinion.
If you're a Saints fan, let us know what you think.
Yeah, that too.
Sponsored by Coke Move.
Well, we'd hope so. Maybe one day.
Yeah, sponsored by
Yeah.
Coke Move.
We can't give up free sponsorships like that.
Peace.